What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I didn't think that I would be talking about her because I personally don't really have that much of a liking to her. I respect her strong opinions on things, coming from a standpoint of I respect that she stands 10 toes down in whatever it is that she's debating or whatever she feels strongly about, she goes towards it. And I personally like someone who is a go-getter, who is firm, and stands on their own core values. I have nothing but respect for that. You know, if you feel a certain way about something and you defend your stance wholeheartedly, I can't really be mad at that. I may disagree with most of the things you say, but I can't really be mad at it. I have no ill will. However, I did not expect this to take place, not even a little bit. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is 51. Mind you, I didn't even know that she was 51. There's nothing wrong with being 51, but she's 51. My point being is that Marjorie Taylor Greene, from what I have seen of her, I would have expected someone of her age to. Then again, I don't even know why I'd be doing that, or I expect it. We always expect, and we see what we're expecting from, you know. But no, Marjorie Taylor Greene is 51-year-old United States representative for the Congressional District of Georgia, and she has been in the media for a while. She's really popularly known for being Trump's biggest supporter. Like, she supports wholeheartedly a lot of the things that he has done, that the party has done as of recently. And she's just been in cahoots with everything. So we're going to lay everything out on the table, and we're going to try and dissect her exit, or her potential exit from the GOP. So we're going to see, and we're going to talk about everything, and we're going to figure out what the hell is going on with Miss Marjorie Taylor Greene and why she acting a fool this time, because every time she on camera, she acting a fool about something. She actually is really, really ratchet if you think about it. Marjorie, if you watched any of their hearings, or just hear her talk in the media, her interviews.
Country are you? Wait, what country?
Should the Defence Secretary?
What country are you? Wait, what country are you from?
The UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
Okay,
and you no. You should care about your own borders.
Do you care about American lives?
No. Let me tell you something. Do you care about people from your country?
The way she talks to people, she's really, really disrespectful, and she's really, really ratchet. And yeah, we're just gonna get into it. So if you're not familiar with Marjorie Taylor Greene, this is what she looks like. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is 51 years old. So she has no reason to be acting stark plumb fool on the internet for people to see. And she doesn't really care. I mean, as a politician, you kind of have to have a certain don't give a fuckness about you, you know, in order for you to make it, because they just say the most outlandish things, and it's just like, there's video evidence of you saying this. There's video evidence of your stances. There's video evidence of your being in cahoots with the nonsense and doing nonsense, and people are now holding you accountable. Well, I'm actually not. I will say that I'm gonna take a step back for a second, and I'm not trying to bash. I don't want to bash Miss Greene. That's not the point of this little video. This video is just to inform that people are starting to sway, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing because I don't really look at it as a win so much as I've said before, how long and how much pain is it going to take for the Americans and others who, the Americans who voted for for them, how much pain is it going to take for them to realize that they were conned? That's pretty much what this game is right now. It's how long, how much is too much. And right now, I'm guessing Marjorie has hit her ceiling. But I actually have two theories. The first being that Marjorie is, because she says, it said the headlines was she threatens to leave the Democratic Party. And she specifically said, and I'll put that on the screen as well.
Here are a few quotes that she gave the Daily Mail. Quote, "I don't know if the Republican Party is leaving me or if I'm kind of not relating to the Republican Party as much anymore. I don't know which one it is. I think the Republican Party has turned its back on America first and the workers and just regular Americans."
Marjorie put on social media that she is feeling disconnected from the GOP, the good old Republican Party. You know, that's actually pretty funny. That would be GORP, but a good old Republican Party, because you know GOP, but it stands for Grand Old Party. But nah, yeah, she's saying she doesn't feel like they embody her core values. Pretty much, she's lost along the way. She doesn't know what's going on. It's not what she remembers. It's not what she's envisioned. They're not putting America first when they never put America first, and all this other stuff. You know, it's just like she's acting really completely like abysmal and just ditzy. Like she just doesn't know what's going on. Like she just woke up and she's in the twilight zone and she's completely confused. Marjorie, you know, you had a hand in this. You agreed. You were compliant. You were okay with enacting and abiding and enforcing and colluding. So many different words. You colluding. And you kissed his behind and you kissed his feet and you enabled this. And now you want to take a step back. And I honestly think personally that the only reason, because for her to be so it's such a complete 180. It's just so random and so weird. And I get it. It's a good thing too. It's a good thing too, because what apparently has woken her up. But there were two things. Because the first thing was that the first time I heard that Marjorie Taylor Greene, that she was thinking about defecting from the GOP, was because of the AI in the Big Beautiful Bill, which is it's actually not in there. It actually didn't pass the Senate. It would have been the I wrote it down. It would have been the no, it's called no federal AI regulation moratorium, which basically is it translates to no federal AI regulation prohibition. So basically they're saying that what was proposed was, I'm sorry, the no federal AI regulation moratorium. That's what it is. I wrote it down under the Big Beautiful Bill. That was what was proposed in the bill. That was one of the things proposed in the bill. And it never passed the Senate. It never passed the Senate. So that was initially what she detested. She didn't like that because I had heard reports that because I don't really keep a Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't like her voice. I don't like what she has to say. I don't like her demeanor. I don't like her energy. So I make it a point to just not watch people like that. That's how I operate. But anyway, she was mad over that. And what that would have done is make it so that the manufacturers of AI, the programmers, they would be able to enforce their own AI laws in whatever state that they operated in, and there is no prohibiting the regulations that they enforce, meaning that they could states cannot individually intercept the laws and regulations that they have in place for their AI programs. That's what that would have done, which is really weird too in itself, but that's another video we can touch on later, because actually I wanted to go over some things in the Big Beautiful Bill that people aren't, really talking about. Because I was actually going through earlier today and I was actually reading it, because today would have been, I've read little notes and I've watched videos of people talking about it, but it's always good to go and see it yourself. And I was reading it earlier today, and there's a lot of interesting stuff in there too that I kind of want to talk about. But Marjorie Taylor Greene takes precedence because this is something that I honestly did not expect to happen. For her to try and defect from the GOP is kind of crazy. But I honestly think it's just her, but she's kind of digging a grave for herself too. She's saying some pretty crazy stuff. So she must have gotten a pretty decent chunk of change from that money laundering. But no, when she bought the dip earlier this year, y'all remember when Trump was manipulating the stock market.
Tonight at 6 o'clock, as stocks tanked over tariff fears, a Georgia congresswoman scooped up some of the biggest losers.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene her purchases are coming to light as Democrats question whether President Trump manipulated the market. Members of Congress are required to report their financial holdings, and new data shows Representative Greene bought stock in Lululemon, Dell, Amazon, and the parent company of Restoration Hardware last week, all of which were down about 40% because of President Trump's tariff threats. Stocks then surged after President Trump announced a 90-day pause on tariffs. Just hours before that announcement, he posted on Truth Social that it was a, quote, great time to buy. In a statement, Representative Greene told the Associated Press that a financial advisor controls her investments and that all of her investments are reported with full transparency.
Which is what he did. People try to gaslight up and down all day, but that's what he did. He manipulated the markets, and then he had someone, because there was remember there was this thing where it was like, oh, Trump's going to enforce 245% tariffs on China, which he honestly didn't do. I think what was it? It peaked at I forget what it peaked at. It was like 1 something or something. But yeah, he was supposed to apparently put 245% tariffs, and the markets crashed because of that. The stock market plummeted, and Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the people who invested. I'll put that clip up here too. I'll put it up on the screen because according to I'm trying to see if I can remember this stuff without looking at my book, because I like to take notes so I actually know what I'm talking about, but I'm trying to get the stuff in green. But and I'm not looking, I'm looking down. My book is like this. But it's the Stock Act, I believe. The Stock Act was proposed to make it so that way government officials and lawmakers and X, Y, and Z, they have to lay out their stock trades and stuff like that, all their investments, their portfolio, and all that. They have to disclose all that information and make it public, so that way people know that there isn't like a conflict of interest, so that way we don't have money laundering and embezzlement and stuff like that. But then again, when I looked at the Stock Act and the penalties for not following it, because it literally is just there to prevent people, having a conflict of interest and trying to take advantage early on of stocks and stuff like that. It would be bad, which they still do. But when I looked at the penalties for the Stock Act for breaking it, it just says fines and other penalties. It doesn't say jail time or anything else up to prison, because normally when you look at stuff like that and it tells you the consequences, it'll have the jail time in there. That wasn't in there. It just said fines and other penalties. So, yeah, I mean, just imagine someone takes advantage of the stock market and they make like $1.5 million. I mean, depending on what the fine is, maybe like $100,000, $200,000 fine, they still kind of walking away with a big chunk of change. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's kind of a win-win situation if that's the case. Because I didn't really look too much into the penalties. I just saw it on the page. But anyway, back to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Tonight, Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is sharing her outrage over starvation in Gaza as President Donald Trump calls for more aid to the region. In a long post on X, she criticized GOP Representative Randy Fine of Florida for saying Gazans should starve until Hamas releases its hostages. And she went so far as to label the crisis a genocide. The statement is putting her at odds with members of her own party. UGA political scientist Charles Bullock says Representative Greene's calls for intervention show there may be limits to the America First agenda.
She's showing that she's not entirely an isolationist, and that she believes that the United States does have some responsibility to help take care of the blameless and the helpless. And certainly the children in Gaza fall into that category of being helpless and blameless.
So I was just so confused. And that's the one thing about the one thing about being in politics, I could never do it because I say crazy things all the time, or I say things and I forget that I say them and stuff like that. So I'm good. But for them, it's like all out there. You know, it's like so easy to use their own previous arguments against them. But I kind of get where she's coming from, but she was saying, the genocide in Gaza is crazy. You know, people are hungry. They don't have anything to eat and we need to help them and all this other stuff. And yes, we all sympathize with the people in Gaza, and we've been saying that for a while. But you were the same person who supported Doge cutting USAID, which would have given support to people overseas, because I remember her spell. I actually put it up there.
The Democrat-run USAID should not get to use our federal government, our U.S. taxpayer dollars, as their party piggy bank to push their radical agenda in countries that we have no business giving money to.
So my whole thing is, Marjorie, like, what did you think Elon was about to come in and do? Playing around? Because he cut a lot. He cut a lot and gained a lot. And you had nothing to say about it. You had nothing to say about government contracts. You didn't give about that, about him getting an $800 million contract from NASA. And also with his cyber trucks being used by the Pentagon, him getting money for that as well. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have anything to say about that. You allowed all that stuff to slide, and then you come back and you say, oh, you know, it's a genocide, but you were the one perpetuating lies, saying that the Democratic Party was buying, they bought $30 million worth of condoms for, what was it, Afghanistan, Iraq, one of them, somewhere in the Middle East. And I'm just like, I'm confused, because Neria's saying, okay, well, it's a genocide going over in Gaza, but what caused a switch? And the only reason I asked that is because if previously you were mad about the fact that AI was about to go unregulated, which is a problem in itself. We'll talk about that too, because that's actually a really important topic that I actually wanted to talk about with artificial intelligence, and the fact that they actually wanted to propose not having regulations on it, making it only so that way the private holders of the company can enforce whatever regulations or laws they want over their own AI. I just think that was kind of really weird, especially with the fact that AI is now all over the media, spreading a lot of misinformation and doing a whole lot of nonsense and fuckery. To have it go unregulated is kind of weird, but you know what I'm saying? But the craziest part is that I'm sorry, the media is so shady. The media is so shady. They even asked Trump. How do you feel about your top supporter saying that what your guys are doing in Gaza is genocide? Not helping out Gaza and being in cahoots with Israel is genocide. And this is what he had to say.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that what is occurring there is a genocide. Do you agree?
Oh, it's terrible what's occurring there, yeah. It's a terrible thing. People are very hungry. You know, the United States gave $60 million for food, and it's a shame because nobody, you know, I don't see the results of it. And we gave it to people that in theory are watching over it fairly closely. We wanted Israel to watch over it. Part of the problem is Hamas is taking the money and they're taking the food. But we gave $60 million a couple of weeks ago. Nobody said anything about it. Nobody said thank you. But I didn't need the thank you. I just wanted the people to get fed. and we're helping out financially with that situation. It's a terrible situation.
Then he goes on to say, oh, but we spent like $60 million, and then y'all gave Elon $800 million. Y'all gave him $800 million. We didn't need that. We didn't need that. What do you need to give this man money for? I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And then even when him and Elon got into that little back and forth, and he basically threatened, oh, well, to be honest, we could save some money if we cancel his government contracts.
You posted yesterday that a good way to save money would be to cancel some of Musk's contracts. How seriously are you considering that?
Well, we'll take a look at everything. I look at everything. He's got a lot of money. He gets a lot of subsidy. So we'll take a look at that. Only if it's fair. Only if it's fair for him and for the country. I would certainly think about it.
So he obviously just doesn't care. They don't care. They operate in a land of millions. You know what I'm saying? Millions and billions. They can't even fathom what we're going through. They do not care. They're so tone deaf and they don't care. I'm glad that Marjorie is finally maybe having a face turn. Actually, I meant to explain my point after, which was why I think that Marjorie is doing this. I think that Marjorie, because if you look at what she wrote, I think that Marjorie is doing this because personally, I think it's because she really wanted to be in Trump's inner circle. And she didn't get that. She didn't get that. And she actually also, I might be reaching with this one. But she did an interview with, it was a British interviewer. I will put the clip up, but she did an interview. It was like a small little thing, and they were I forget where they were, but the woman was asking her if she thought, the woman asked Marjorie if she thought that she belonged in the list of people to be candidate for vice president. She didn't answer. She didn't want to give an answer. She wanted to be really modest and all this other stuff, like just putting it off. But you could just tell she really wanted it, and she kind of got frustrated by it because the reporter asked her a few times, and she told her to fuck off, which was really extreme. I would say that's extreme for someone who isn't going off on you. I mean, maybe they got history. I honestly don't know, but I'm just putting together pieces because I've been like watching Marjorie for a little bit, and yeah, she was down with the shit in the beginning. She got her money and she dipped because I mean, I feel like, okay, cool. If you really feel that way, and you feel like it's not okay, that's good. That's a face turn. You're starting to take accountability for, not accountability, but, well, yes, you need to take accountability for co-signing this nonsense. You know, so co-signing as a 51-year-old adult, I think that is a problem. It's a big problem. And then to backpedal and say, oh, you know, this is not it. You know, what happened to America first? Well, I mean, it's clear he was never going to do that. From the jump, you knew that, but you knew you could profit from it. You know, you could profit from it. And she was going to bat. She was going hard. I'm like, damn, she going mad hard. Like, she must be his best friend. They in the corners. They're not even that close. She was just brown nosing to try and get up here, and I guess she didn't get what she wanted. Someone else got something over her. I think I read that too, but I didn't really go too deep because, you know. But yeah, somebody got what she wanted, and she's now throwing a fit. And okay, that's understandable, but don't use someone else's suffering. And that's my whole thing. The only reason I even made this is because it's like, don't use someone else's suffering to pretend like you care and secretly bash. Because she didn't bash Trump. She didn't use his name. She didn't bash him, which is even worse than just coming out and saying it yourself. That shows you're a coward. And she's doing it like, oh, she's throwing stones and hiding her hands. She's saying, oh, the White House or the Republican Party, and Trump is a part of the Republican Party and he's in the White House. So who are you talking about? The boss? The one who's telling everybody what to do? You mad at the people, or you mad at the leader? Because you can't say, or you can't dodge Trump as a recipient for your message when he is the leader of the party. That makes literally no sense at all. So my whole thing is, until she comes out and she publicly says what Trump is doing is not okay, as did Candace Owens, and we're gonna do a video on Candace, because I was on Candace ass heavy. I was on Candace ass heavy in the beginning of this year, because Candace Owens is very, 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 just like Marjorie, not as crazy as Marjorie, but up there, where she was advocating for Trump, and now she's advocating for the opposite, which is, I'm glad to see development. I will never bash someone for development, but you was enabling like a motherfucker, and it's like, that's kind of crazy. So we're gonna do Candace next, but I had to put Marjorie because I honestly did not expect for Marjorie to defect. I didn't, or even threaten to. You know, she's been very loyal. Very loyal. She got her money, and everything. Even though because according to Yahoo Finance, she invested in the dip, the dip that happened when the stock market plunged, thanks to Trump. And yeah, I think that if you're going to make an exit and maybe make a face turn to maybe another party, if that's what she's thinking, take accountability first. We got to handle that first, because you don't get to just play both sides. You can't do that. Play both sides, jump back and forth, get your money, then come over to the light side. You can't do that. We're not gonna let that slide. That's never gonna lie. It's not gonna slide, and it's not gonna happen. And we really want to know the real motive behind you coming out and saying all this, because the leader is the one giving the orders, not the foot soldiers. It's the leader. So if you're not calling out the leader, all that you're talking about is bullshit, and we don't want to hear it.